Madam Clerk, time 7 p.m. I'm going to call this Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territories of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community of Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas recognized through Treaty Number 13, as well as the Williams Treaty of 1923. Shared understanding of the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the additional items? Councillor Gilliland, Councillor Gardner, any comments or questions? The vote, all those in favor? Opposed? It carries. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Move to community presentations. We have one. Krissy Yonge, Southlake Health Foundation regarding the 2026 Nature's Emporium Run for Southlake. Krissy, welcome.
Hi, and welcome for having me. Thank you. I am a community cabinet member for the Southlake Foundation. Actually left our meeting early to come here to be with you today, where we were discussing this very topic, the Nature's Emporium Run for Southlake, which will take place this year, April 26th, 2026. Again, it's on a Sunday, and it will be located on Davis Drive in its usual location, which everybody I think has come to be familiar with, where we run under the iconic Southlake Bridge. So again, it's a 5K walk or run. I have been participating in this run since 2018 when I had twin boys that were born and required life-saving care at Southlake. I have done this run and walk, pushing a stroller, carrying children with ailing family members. And it's certainly something that we can all participate in. It's something that we can all rally behind. And I think it's something that we're all impacted by as members of the Southlake catchment. The exclusive route again is running right beside the hospital under the bridge. We will start again at the Seniors Center. And that will be the start and finish line as it was last year. If you raise $100 as last year, you can be added to our Wall of Fame, which will also be in the Runners Village at the Seniors Center there in our community. Thank you. All right. So why fundraise? There's a lot of meaningful reasons to fundraise. Most people in our community believe that the hospital is entirely funded through government funding. That is simply not the case. The majority of equipment, resources, and supplies that are used at our local hospital are actually provided through fundraising, which is so very important, which is why the run is so very important. It's one of Southlake's largest fundraising events. And so that's why we come here today and hope that you will all join as part of the mayor's team. Fundraising also supports some of the new renovated spaces. So if you've had the fortune or misfortune of being at Southlake recently, you'll notice that a lot has changed. On the 4th floor, there's a mental health department that is now up and running. The emergency department is constantly growing and expanding and developing. So there is a lot of change happening there to facilitate our very rapidly growing community. So by participating in that run, we're sort of able to show our gratitude for what Southlake provides and also really truly pay it forward. certainly we're all going to be in need of Southlake at some point or know someone that is. So ensuring that we have leading edge care close to home is beneficial to all of us. I'll air click it. So again, we're offering the Mayor's Challenge, which we hope everybody will be participating in. Aurora has always been a really big player in the Mayor's Challenge. I know that as a hospital team captain, I have gone up against Mr. Maracus many times. And of course, last year, Team Aurora raised $19,000, just over, of the $79,000 that were raised in the Mayor's Challenge. So it's a significant contribution that this challenge brings to the hospital. And we'd really like to see that happen again. We're sort of hoping that the Mayor's Challenge will bring in over $100,000 this year. Which would be fantastic. And again, there's a Community Spirit Award. So to the community that raises the most per capita will receive the Community Spirit Award. So registration is open. Registration will remain open until April 17th. Although the registration fees do go up in March. So we encourage you all to get registered sooner than later. We also welcome registering children. So if you want to register your children as part of the team, all they need is their own email. Any child that attends the York Region School Board has a GAPS account. That's the account that's easily accessible. Use it, register your kids. The more the merrier. It's a family event, and the only way this event's going to be sustainable is if we put it in the hands of our young people and encourage them to get out there and start motivating them to be little philanthropists as well. If you have any questions, feel free. We also have a sign for any of the members that would like to take a photo. Thank you.
Thank you, Krissy. And can I get a motion to receive the presentation? Councillor Weese, Councillor Gill, and any comments or questions? Councillor Weese, go ahead.
For coming. I'm glad you mentioned two things. One thing is that, bless you, that almost everybody in this room has been touched by Southlake in some way. So I'm glad that came forward. And also about the family thing. I took my 5-year-old out last year and he still talks about it. It's a great family event to get out. It's a lot of fun for people. So I encourage people who have children to bring them out and register them.
Just to note and add on to that, this year we are also going to bring back the mini mile for children that are still looking at the age group, but probably between 2 and 5 years old that want to come out and run the mini mile. It's going to be a very short little mile with mascots along the way, and we're encouraging smaller people to participate in that capacity as well.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gillen?
Thank you very much. I hear you guys coming here to council and challenging us every single year to be doing this. And I'm really grateful for this. I think it's a very fantastic event. And I love the fact that you get families involved. And I just wanted to touch on, are there pets that are invited? I can't recall. If you could just kind of try touch on that.
Sorry.
Can you bring your dog? Can you bring your dog to walk with you?
I believe in the past we have had pets coming along. That wasn't a problem in the past, so I have to imagine it's not this year, but I'm not positive.
I won't hold you to it, but I think I recall you could, but I'm not sure.
Past we have had pets on the walk.
I would say you're not in the most competitive race group.
Yeah, I would say you're probably not.
Unless your dog is like superhuman.
No, but you can still have a team of a bunch
Yeah.
of people with dogs and who can come support for different reasons. So just really just going out there and just expanding it to many different groups. And, there are a lot of people who have pets out there who want to include it in the whole experience of raising funds for a local hospital, as well as the family oriented part. And I love that. You guys are always very supportive. You have a lot of kiosks there with support. There's food and snacks and drinks and just the camaraderie there. I've been there a number of years and I just think you guys do a really good job. So thanks again. And I really appreciate you came here to help us remind us that this is going to be happening. It's April. Is that the date?
2026.
April, sorry, 26th.
Yep.
2026. All right, great. Thanks.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing that, Krissy, thank you very much for coming this evening. I'm glad you touched on the fact in your presentation that, all the equipment comes from money that's raised from fundraising. And I think that's an important thing that for everyone to know in our community. And we all know that Southlake is our hospital. It might not be physically here in the town of Aurora, but it is our hospital. And we all appreciate all the work that all the doctors do. I still remember one time we were raising funds for the beds. And I'm not sure if you remember how much a bed costs, but I think it was roughly about 130,000 for a bed.
Yeah.
And so that's what people I think don't realize is that each bed is 130,000. So anytime the hospital needs a new bed, they need to raise $130,000. And that doesn't come from provincial funding.
No, the government doesn't
yeah.
fund this.
And so things such as the Southlake Run is important to raise those funds to help make sure that our hospital has the equipment necessary to help our family members when they're in time of need. So I want to thank you for everything that you do. And yes, we're excited to be part of the run again. Hopefully we can bring that cup back here. We did it 6 years in a row. We lost it last year to Merrihaxon and East Gwillimbury, but we're going to give her a run for her money this year. So
Well, you've given me a run for my money every year. So thank you.
thank you very much for coming. Council, call vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. And Krissy, did you want to do a photo? Is that what... Yeah, we can do. Yeah, sure. Does everyone want to get in the middle? Delegations, 6.1, Shawn Deane, resident, regarding item 9.2, 10.2, 11.1, and 11.2. Mr. Deane, welcome. You have 5 minutes and the floor is yours.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to have my voice heard yet again on budget and finance matters. Tonight, there's multiple issues and lots of points to be made. I am opposed to additional budget for Victoria Hall as it sits today. It's an excessive amount, 320%, and there's no rush on that project. I'm also opposed to, I advocate for council involvement in all things financial. There are public representatives, they are, in my observation, being pushed out and wedged out from oversight of all financial matters. And so with respect to the treasurer asking tonight to a staff member to have independent authority over short-term investments totaling upwards of $28 million, it's just not responsible. We could have the most trustworthy staff on the planet, but that might not be the case in the next term, for example, and life changes people. So having oversight just prevents any temptation and fraud from happening. On contractual matters, third-party contractors, that ties into the bigger topic tonight, Victoria Hall. I believe Councillor Gallo put that forward to have third-party contracts available to the public. There's, in my opinion, nothing that the public should be not have access to. And definitely council. Council needs more time with budget matters and they need to be integrated. I recommend they become full-time. So with respect to the ask of $1.6 million for Victoria Hall, it's a 320% increase from the 500,000 that it is 2 months ago. And to put $1.6 million in perspective, yeah, that's 16 times what Southlake is hoping to raise with their fundraiser, but it's also greater than the tax increase, the 2.2% tax increase that was debated and vetoed. So there's a lot of reasons, a lot of opportunities to save money. Council wanted that, and that $1.6 million was described as gutting reserves if we gave taxpayers a break. And it was described as being irresponsible, short-sighted, and not protecting reserves. Yet in the capital budget, so for those who don't understand that the town spends $132 million a year, it's sort of split equally between the operating and capital budget. So the capital budget, which Victoria Hall is falling under right now, was forecasted to be $29 million just a year ago. And so taxpayers didn't get a break, but council approved taking the capital budget from 30 million up to 67 million, $37+ million over forecast. And now you want $1.6 million more. We're spending more, so there's no discipline or guardrails with the budgeting, and there needs to be. And Victoria Hall is asking, the document asks for $250,000 plus just for a new consultant. So there's no rush. What about the community benefit charges in downtown? Why can't we wait and tap into the community benefit charges? The vision changed just within the last 2 months. December 7th, the budget said there's no change to Victoria Hall. So what changed? And it wasn't a consultant. New information of unseen conditions. And yet the place has been empty. And Mr. Notaranzi quoted in the paper as saying detailed interior and exterior renovations will be done. That was in the paper. And so we don't even know the year end. Has the treasurer completed year end to know if we're in a surplus or a deficit from last year? There's been 2 months to calculate that. Council doesn't have enough information. Also,
We can get you to wrap up, Mr. Deane.
yes. You're treating historic sites different with the budget. The budget or with reserves. So Hillary House only got 150,000 out of the operating budget, and you want to award Victoria Hall with 1.6 million out of growth and new. We have no new growth in town other than demands maybe for pickleball. And we don't need to invest in something new with this economy. So this budget is distorted and not in lockstep with the real economy. Developers aren't building. I've delegated on that multiple times. So
Really need you to wrap up, Mr. Deane.
yes. And the request for more money has no limits, 250 for consulting. So Councillor Gallo's motion about third-party consultants, I would like to see how much we paid the consultant that told, our CAO that we're going to do all this extensive repairs. And now who was it, a consultant or a staffer that lifted a floorboard and said there's rotten wood under there? So there's a lot of questions and they need answering before we approve this. And the vision, when did the vision change? There was no consultation on the vision. So all of
Mr.
a
Deane,
sudden,
I really need you to finish, please.
right. Okay. Well, I have more to share if council wants to ask questions. We've also paid from the same community services budget. There's a request for a new project to have all of our town assets assessed. So why would we invest to assess the towns if a staffer can go in and lift a floorboard and undermine a $200,000 assessment that we already paid for Victoria Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to receive? Councillor Gardner, Councillor Gallo. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Deane, thank you very much for coming. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 6.2, Rocco Morsillo regarding 9.2. Mr. Morsillo, welcome. You have 5 minutes and the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor Marakis and members of council. My name is Rocco Morsillo, resident of Aurora. I'm here tonight to talk about Victoria Hall as well and the increase to the budget of $2.182 million. I want to be clear that Victoria Hall is a cherished asset in the community. Built in 1883, it has various roles throughout its career in Aurora: a church, a library, a dance studio, and yoga as well. The building, unfortunately, has not been used for many years. Feasibility study was ordered in 2024. Later in February 2025, it was put out to tender for lease for interested parties. In mid-2025, the budget came through that was approved and generally received well in the public's eye of $500,000 to renovate Victoria Hall. I was excited. Fast forward to a few days ago, we see a report coming forward to nearly increase it to $2.2 million. And also the consultant fees to exceed $250,000. The building is approximately 1,500 square feet. This is where my construction background comes in. We usually build out renovations of commercial spaces at $300 a square foot. If you take the 1,500, that's pretty much in line with the $500,000 original budget. So everything looks good. Unfortunately, now with this $2.2 million, we're nearly 4 times as much. And I have to ask how are we getting to this point? With the average commercial lease at $25 a square foot, the return on investment is going to be very far in the future. I know that the town of Aurora is here to provide community spaces, but we have to look at things realistically in terms of the building use as well. The Class D estimate, which the report is based on, in general construction terms, a Class D estimate brings with it a 20 to 30% contingency. Now that could be above or below. So the worry is that if you approve 2.2 based on a Class T estimate, what happens is you can actually be approving 2.8 million if they get in the walls and they find something they don't like. Now, mind you, though, that could go below as well. It could go to 1.5 million. My opinion is that this building is a cherished asset in Aurora. The building is in bad shape. We all know that. I want to make sure that tonight the project does go ahead. I want to be clear on that. We don't need to create the Taj Mahal there. We need to keep the design simple, the cost effective, and we can cherish the buildings for years to come without the hefty price tag. So my proposal is that we keep the budget at $500,000. We move forward tonight. We increase the contingency if required to 30%. We add a cap to the consultant and engineering at $50,000. And the problem is that we don't go ahead with this tonight. Every year we wait, this project is going to get more and more expensive. And I'm worried if we don't pass this tonight that we're not going to get this project done. Victoria Hall has been sitting empty for a long time, and I think we really need to do something to it. The solution would be to reverse engineer the design based on the $500,000 budget to bring it more in line. We need to go back to the consultant. We need to ask what can be done for this project for $500,000. We need to work with local contractors and trades that may have ideas on how to bring this project within budget. I can volunteer myself as well. We need to order exploratory sampling in the building, the structure, to examine the structure and camera work before any tenders go out, to avoid a Class D estimate in the future. That's very important to avoid any contingencies. So let's get the consultant in to do exploratory work, to do the camera work of the pipes, to make sure everything is good, that when we go out for tender, we're not hit with any surprises. I thank you for your time. I encourage any questions or dialogue or anything.
You. A motion to receive. Councillor Kim, Councillor Gallo, any comments or questions? Councillor Gunner? Question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just need to make sure I understand what you're saying. The $500,000 that we've put aside, in your opinion, as a developer or as person in the construction, would be suitable to bring this building up to what standard? Would we have a duty as a council to protect this heritage structure? So with that $500,000, we would be doing that. But we would not be bringing it up to code for another use. It would still remain a heritage. This is supposed to be a question. This would still remain a heritage building. And that $500,000 would do that, or would it do something else as well?
Morsillo?
The 500,000 would increase the stability of the building, renovate it to a point that we could use it. I don't know what the use is going to be. That's not really the topic of tonight. It's more to talk about the budget. It really depends on what you want to use it for at the end. But I believe that we can have a building that we could use within the community for a dance studio, a yoga studio, a media room, a concert hall, something along those lines. I don't know, a cafe, but we could definitely get it accessible by putting ramps in the back. The 500,000 is definitely enough to do this. My ask is that we just increase it by 30% contingency and add the $50,000 for a consultant as a cap. Because I believe the consultant fees are getting out of hand to 250,000. I mean, we can do buildings at $10 million with less money than that. So it's a huge ask, the 250.
Councillor?
So my follow-up would be that this money would put this, in your opinion, would put this building, would fulfill our requirement to maintain it, to keep it sound, and potentially also use it as a function, rent it out, in other words. Yes.
Sure, yes, that's correct. We with the 500,000, the goal would be to reverse engineer, to renovate the place, to keep it as a heritage building. That's first and foremost, and to bring it back to life, bring it back to the community for a reasonable amount. If we were talking about a 10,000 square foot building, then yeah, let's go with the Taj Mahal design. But we have to remember this is Victoria Hall.
Councillor?
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Mr. Morsillo, I just have one question. Have you been inside the building to inspect it?
In the building, but I haven't walked through it. No,
Okay,
I'm basing this on.
so it's correct. So it's your opinion.
Correct.
Thank you. Forgot something? Second time, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And what you're saying is we should put the extra contingency money in the budget so that we come out with not a Class D, which can go anywhere. We come out with a more realistic idea of what is required. Thank you.
Councillor Gillen? Question for the delegate?
Thank you. Appreciate everything you're saying. You haven't been through the establishment yourself, but I did hear you say you'd volunteer yourself for the job. Thank you.
Basis. No, just to guide the consultant into.
No.
the
I meant
budget.
like for the actual job.
Oh, the actual job. I don't know if I can tackle the whole job myself, but I'd be
I'm
willing
just
to bring a
curious.
lot of trades in Aurora in.
Seem to volunteer yourself for it, so I mean.
Volunteering myself for the budget is what I meant. Sorry.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? See none, Ms. Morsillo, thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 6.3, David Hurd, regarding item 9.2. Mr. Hurd, welcome. You have 5 minutes. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Citizens, Mr. Mayor, councillors, good evening. Thank you for the time. Some may remember many years ago a pitch repeated called Victoria Hall. It was proposed as one of Canada's largest, most resourceful music research spaces, a museum. If I recall the first pitch, at that time, our mayor was a councillor. I believe it was referred to staff. I didn't hear anything, but many more times I continued with my interest in repeated meetings with staff on this small but potentially mighty space. However, now I'm not here to talk about my pitch. I'm here going to take an inclusive, empathetic approach to this report of over $2 million to renovate Victoria Hall. In the report, it states, quote, bad deterioration. I ask, how did we get to this state? It reminds me of Hillary House in a way. Was Vic Hall just a forgotten piece of the town square plan? But now we want to integrate it to include it to the square. It was also used for storage during the construction. I can say maybe not respected fully as a plaqued building. I did speak to staff regarding how the exterior had construction supplies, heavy construction supplies piled up against the structure. But now it's wanted to be a showcase reno. The report also states the future use as, quote, suitable space for public or tenant use. If this is the case, why the need, I ask, for closed sessions? Do we already know the tenant is being asked by citizens? And the word on the street and in the neighborhood is some people have identified the tenant. Under
What's the point of order?
under delayed
One sec,
projects.
Mr. Hurd. 1 second. What's the point of order?
Sorry, I just feel like we're speaking about things that are in a closed session, which I don't think is really an appropriate assumption. Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
sorry, I just feel like we're making assumptions on things that we don't really know are true as fact.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, Mr. Hurd, if we can just, keep it to not the use, but, yep.
Question I was speaking to the public, speaking to hearing the use on the street, not in closed session.
Well,
So
yes, I would say that that's not factual information because
Let's
nothing is.
chat a lot, but anyway, I'll
But go ahead.
continue. Under delayed projects are mentioned in the report. Under delayed projects, does this include the incredible tourism potential? The Aurora Pet Cemetery now deferred potentially to 2034. So why the priority for Victoria Hall? And also, what about Hillary House mentioned earlier, our National Historic Site? It has needs like Vic Hall of less amount, and yet it has now beautifully cleared shaded green space. And with another predicted record hot summer, that space would be a huge asset with a spruced up building. As I said, this isn't about me and my years of interest in proving a viable product that follows our strategic plan in Victoria Hall. Heritage Week is arriving, and the timing of this has actually blindsided some members, including members of the Heritage Advisory Committee. But it allows myself to showcase 2 underfunded other historical projects that are kind of being ignored and much larger scale. I believe the public has a right to transparency. And lastly, I'd like to add that Victoria Hall, as said earlier, has always been a community space, a library, Cubs, Guides, Scouts, parties, ghost tours, and it should remain. And yet, I want to say that Victoria Hall, again, it should remain a public space. I think we are giving up too many of our historic spaces. We've lost a lot, we really have. I believe community is worth investing in, just like our strategic plan lays out. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. A motion to receive Councillor Gardner, Councillor Weese. Any questions for the delegate? Seeing none, Mr. Hurd, thank you very much for coming out this evening. All those in favor? Opposed, that carries. 6.4, Steve Fleck, regarding item 9.2. Mr. Fleck, welcome. You have 5 minutes and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I hope this is not as disruptive, controversial as the last time I was before you. It's great to see Southlake the run for Southlake being talked about. I'm not here to talk about that tonight, but I just returned from the largest trade conference for running and endurance sports events in North America, 700 delegates from all across Canada and the US. And the great news about running, endurance sports races and events is they're growing about 10 or 15%. So I hope that is the case for Southlake, and they raise a good amount of money this year. Mayor Marcus, members of council, fellow citizens of Aurora in the gallery, thank you for your time. My name is Steve Fleck. I've lived in Ward 5 of Aurora for 20 years. I'm here tonight standing before you asking some simple questions. If we are going to go over $2 million of expenses renovating Victoria Hall, the 3 questions I have are: 1, why are we doing this? What are we getting in the end? And what is this place going to be used for? Quoting from the Committee of the Whole report itself, the refurbishment of Victoria Hall supports the strategic plan goal of enabling a diverse, creative, and resilient economy, promoting economic opportunities that facilitate the growth of Aurora as a desirable place to do business. The reimagining of Victoria Hall will revitalize and possibly promote the entrepreneurship within the downtown core. What does that mean? And please link that back to the 3 previous questions I just asked. I'm not against these sorts of projects. Third places and gathering places like this are vitally important for communities, but surely we need to have a better idea of what the end goal is here before we commit this kind of money and expense for Victoria Hall. Thank you for your time.
You. Your motion to receive. Councillor Kim, Councillor Weese, any questions? Mr. Fleck, welcome for coming. Thank you for coming. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to move those? Councillor Kim, second. Councillor Weese, any comments or questions on the Advisory Committee meeting minutes? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Consent agenda. Councillor Gallo.
Can I pull?
We're just doing just the 8s.
8, sorry.
Just the 8s right now. When you get into 9s, do you want to pull the 8? Otherwise, I'm just dealing with just 8 right now.
No, those are fine. Sorry.
Different. Okay. I'll come back to you for 9. Councillor Gardner?
8.2.
Thank you. Can I get is it just a question, or are you want us to do something, right? I think. Yeah. So why don't I just get a motion to approve 8.1? Can I do that? A motion to approve 8.1? Councillor Gilliland. Councillor Gallo, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Councillor Gardner, I believe on 8.2 you want to have us support something that the TRCA did. Is that correct? Okay. Can you just let us know so our clerk can get that up for us? Mrs. Serio, do you have it?
Thank you.
Yes, we do. So if you want to just speak to it quickly, and then we'll get it up on the screen.
We all got correspondence from the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, and it's quite a long report, but I guess the bottom line is that the Conservation Authority has been monitoring, collecting long-term data for our watersheds and how they change over time. And in the last 25 years of data, including water quality monitoring data, one of the parameters that they analyzed was chloride. We've spoken about chloride many times with respect to the Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. But what they found is that 38 of the 48 stream monitoring stations have increasing concentrations of chloride between so the year 2000 and 2003, that amounts to vastly exceeding the Canadian water quality guidelines. And I can give you the reasons if you want that's important, including our groundwater quality and contaminated soils. But the TRCA has sent this to us with the hope that we will endorse their motion, which would be what's happening is people are oversalting basically because of the liability issue. So this motion would say if someone can prove that they're following the proper schedule, amount of salt on time, that there would be a limited liability. So the motion that is before you would be just to adopt what the TRCA has already adopted. Many places have adopted, including Newmarket, because it just makes sense. If we can find a way to decrease the amount of salt that's hurting the water environment, then we should do it. So it was quite a read. I don't know if anybody had a chance to read it, but I would ask that we support this motion. I've had help from the clerk with this, who happens to be our lawyer. I think it's a fair motion. And in the meantime, between this meeting and the council meeting, if you want to further read the report and all of the reasons why we would want to support this, then you could speak to it at the council meeting. But I am saying that when we get something from the Toronto Region, Conservation Authority about something that they feel is as important as this, that we should support it. So I'd like to move this motion, if I could have a seconder.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Weese, thank you. Councillor Gallo, go ahead.
Thank you. And just reading this and listening in, I can't help but remember that we had a report before us regarding this issue, and I'm trying to remember what we actually did with it. I don't remember what the result of this. It was exactly this, what's before us, if I'm not mistaken. Through you, Mr. Mayor, too. Somebody that can remember.
Mr. Vaughan, pass that.
So in 2025, we did an update to our salt management plan, which is likely what you're thinking about.
It was specific to accreditation, to liability, to contractors. Does anyone else remember?
And Councillor Gallo, I can't specifically remember, but if we did, it would probably, if it was something similar to this, I mean, when you read the motion, this is about asking a request of the Attorney General of Ontario as well as the province to make changes that are legislatively required to implement some of these things that Councillor Gardner's talking about. So it's not simply that we say that we support this or we approve it and it's going to happen, right? It just, so it may be previously there was some kind of motion that came before us, similar, and we might have adopted that as well and supported it, but I can't recall.
It was exactly this. All between now and council, I'll
Sure.
dig a little, and if staff can look as well. It just seems very, very similar to what this. I just can't remember what we did with it, but I'm in support of this.
Councillor Weese?
Yes, and it was minimizing salt pollution in our watershed. They did a presentation here. It was received, and it's now come to the region here. So I'm in support of this 100%. That's why I seconded it. And you're quite right, Mayor. This is the whole point of this is also limited liability because people are worried about slip and fall if you take the salt away. So there has to be a certification program for people who are delivering it. And I talked to Mr. Openesta earlier, and they are in fact working on those kinds of processes. It's just it's a technology that will take a little bit of time. I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but I warned you it may come up. So through you, Mayor, would you like to say a few words, Mr. Volpenessa?
Contesta?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just reading the motion myself, I just think there are some considerations around capital cost. Obviously, the town maintains all of our own parking lots. The equipment we use now, pickup trucks, aren't calibrated the same way that road plows are. And so monitoring salt levels and quantities of dispersal are things to be considered if this is something that is put forth by the province and something that we have to abide by. And there's considerations around certifications and contractors. So those are all interesting pieces that we would have to look at in much more detail.
Yep. Councillor?
That's it. Fine.
Councillor Gillard?
Thank you. I do remember when this came to council and we were asked to support this. I would like to think that our elected officials that are representing the conservation authorities do speak for the municipalities in support of this. So absolutely in support of this. And I think all this really does is strengthen the validity of what us as municipalities want to enforce going forward when it comes to salt management. And it's been an ongoing situation, as Councillor Gartner, as you know, since at least I know I've been around since 2018, that it's all about salt management, insurance and so forth. And it's just one of those things with training. So I think this is great. And I think this puts pressure on the province. And I think this is one small way that we can do this moving forward. Is there capital cost moving forward? Absolutely. But I think what this is actually asking is for the province, other upper tiers levels of government to absolutely support and also invest in that. It can't be all dialed down onto municipalities for every little bit of this type of management. We all know it. We all say it. This is just one way to actually throw our support behind us. I think we're already doing it, and this is just solidifying it.
Councillor Kim, first time.
Support of the motion, and I thank Councillor Gardner for bringing this to our attention. I mean, we all know every winter when we see salting and oversalting, there are downstream impacts, and I mean that figuratively and literally. So if we can involve the province and they can legislate something with all stakeholders in mind, then I'd be in support.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner, second.
Thank you. And actually, it's mentioned that there would be an investment in training, but there would also be a savings in salt. And what the town did, we did a study, we hired a consultant, and it was based on information that came out from Lake Simcoe as to what best practices were for us taking care of our municipal parking lots, et cetera, et cetera. And it was quite an intensive report. And our staff, I remember Sarah saying that, yes, we were doing this study following the direction of Lake Simcoe. The reason I brought it forward, because Lake Simcoe is not on this list. So I don't know where they're at. But, and perhaps if Councillor Thompson was here, we would know. But I'm quite sure because of their information that they've published in the past, their guidelines, that they would be very happy with this. I think the guidelines are from 2015, maybe, Matt? They're old. They've been trying for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? So then I think we're all supportive. So hopefully the province and the Attorney General, as well as the Minister of the Environment, listen and make necessary changes at the provincial level to have this succeed. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Now, any items members council want pulled? Councillor Gallo, go ahead.
9.2, 10.2, 11.2, please.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Gardner?
9.1 for comment, an expanded comment. 11.1. I don't know if Councillor Gallo pulled 14.1.
Nope.
No, 14.2 and 15.1.
So you want to pull 14.1,
I do.
14.1, 14.2, and 15.1 you want to pull?
Yes, please. I pulled a lot of ones. Do you have 9.1 and 11.1 as well? Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Cam, is there anything else?
Sure. I'm not sure if, I don't think 10.1 was pulled.
No, it wasn't. You want to
Okay,
pull that?
and, why not, 11.1?
11.1, already got that. Hey, anyone else? Can I get a motion to approve 14.3? Councillor Gardner. Councillor Gallo. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 9.1, Councillor Gardner, you pulled this. Did you want to move the recommendation?
Did we just pull? Well, actually went to 15.1. Okay, that's the member motion. Thanks.
Yeah.
9.1.
9.1,
Thank
community
you,
reflection
Mr. Mayor.
space. Did you want to move the recommendation?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Gallo, go ahead, Councillor Gardner.
It's presented at the committee level. I think it's hard to follow. I was hoping the consultant would be here, but I would like to say they are. How come they didn't make a presentation? Oh, so we get a presentation.
Sure, you pulled it.
But these aren't the right guys.
Is this on? Okay, thank you. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be back before you to talk about the community reflection space. I'm going to hand it over to Adam Nordforce here to guide you through a presentation. I just wanted to give you a quick update about where we've been since we've been before you in July of 2024. Since that point, we have engaged in the design of a concept plan and consulted with the Indigenous Relations Committee, the Parks Rec Advisory Committee, and the Accessibility Advisory Committee, all of which have provided comment and are incorporated in the designs that Adam will walk you through now. So I'll hand it over to Adam to guide you through.
Again, my name is Adam Nordforce, landscape architect from.
Adam, can I get you to speak into the mic, please?
Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry about that.
No problem.
My name's Adam Nordforce, landscape architect from FO10 Planning and Design, and design lead for the community reflection space here. And after months of repeatedly visiting the site, it's very exciting to finally see what's behind these large doors. Okay, and for those of you sitting on this section of the circle, I encourage you to look back at the screen because it will be a visual presentation.
We do have it in front of us, each of us.
Oh, you have it in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. Keep
problem.
looking this way. It's fine. It's fine. We did our homework and Aurora truly is a multicultural place. So when we were charged with coming up with a reflection space, the words like an area for processing tragedy and grief and mourning came up. And so for us to come up with a narrative or symbology for that, we wanted to find things that were truly universal. So in the presentation, we'll see if I'm going to go as quickly as possible with these groups. Our average time was about an hour and a half of discussion, so we're gonna go fast. Let's see if the clicker keeps up. This was the general layout of the parking lot revisions and the areas around the front of the building. We'll get into that in a minute. Over this way. So we just wanted to look at the existing conditions, which the pavement was in rough shape. This was not the first traffic cone orange cone that we saw in the plaza space, and be here to see how the site was used throughout when it was sunny, when it was warm, when it was cold. There were trees were struggling. Some of them were dying or in bad shape. Cars were repeatedly over time running into the flagpoles. We are aware of the flagpole ceremonies and the raising and how important that is to the community. Again, I'm going to go very fast, but also poorly defined space was something that came up. In the left-hand corner, you can see there's kind of a no man's land that goes over towards the electrical vehicle parking spaces. And repeatedly, when I would speak to community members, they couldn't remember the last time anybody had used that set of paving for anything. And then bollards to keep cars knowing where not to go. In the photo on the right, you can see it doesn't always happen. That depression there is from some vehicle that comes up onto the pavement. Anyway, and one of the things that I repeatedly noticed when I was here was that community members are coming from this crosswalk and walking straight towards the site, but they can't get down into it. And in design language, we consider that a desire line, the way that you'd prefer to go, but you're obstructed. And through speaking with people over time, we discovered that there used to be a set of stairs there that were removed at some point. So that's incorporating what we're thinking. And these were some of the initial concepts that we started to share with groups for discussion. The one on the left, that's just out here in this space as at this southwestern side of the building. And the design framework here became this narrative of, although the community, we come from many rivers. It was many rivers that brought us here. We are one community. And so this flows down, it collects people from the community coming into the town hall and carries them through this place, which we consider to be a plaza. So there's seating, there's room for the flag raisings or ceremonies that have been happening there. We still have the carrying capacity and the open space to have that happen. But these rivers bring the community down towards the end where we have this large gathering place circle. And a small raised platform, it's seating height where people can sit. You can have someone stand, the mayor, you could stand up and speak to people there. Someone from the community playing guitar, something like that. And then as you go around, there was also the desire to have grieving and mourning spaces. And so as we turn the corner, we have 3 transition zones into a different type of space. So the energy of the gathering space fades off as it comes around this side of the building. You can see here, I wish I could point to it, but the river, the many rivers gathering us down to the gathering place here. And then when we go up to the northeast, we have 3 phases there. The first phase is a space where people can sit together. They can sit and talk, spill out from the activity of the large circle. We heard from the accessibility committee that they wanted to have access to this area as well. The green there represents sod. That's a place where people can touch the ground. They can be there with that. And the linear space is what we refer to as the sky ribbon, which was this idea of bringing earth and sky together. The way that this functions is a platform where people can leave, they can leave things, maybe candles. It came up little shoes, things like this. Oftentimes when there's a tragedy, people will come and leave candles and have a vigil in those spaces. So it's a place where it's a plinth where the community can leave spaces with a small channel in it that would reflect the sky into the ground plane. This other vegetated space right behind the sodded place is kind of a no-go area. It's just plants, it's native plants, forested, low growing. And this red space is a whisper phone, which the bereavement group had brought that up as a useful thing. And there happens to be a global map of them and many in Canada. And then finally, the last circle spot is the most secluded. When I say secluded, there's no place in this design where people can hide, where you can't be seen from somewhere around in multiple angles. But it is a space, it's more removed from the bustle of the main gathering space. see a little bit closer. And then we made this rendering. I want to say the black poles, they're representative of where tree trunks would go, but the foliage would obscure what we're trying to show you in this image. So you can see the many rivers coming down. You can see the gathering place and then spilling out with the sky ribbon. Now, the sky ribbon passes through a living hedge. And in that, it's just a representation of traveling beyond where we are now into something else. The nature of the sky ribbon came up multiple times, what it would look like. So these renderings, they're devoid of all the plant material, simply so you can see the spaces behind them in a little more detail on what the sky ribbon is. Again, we were given a $250,000 construction budget, and we worked to make that. So everything in it is simple. It's a small trough. It's not very deep. It's about the depth of a 2x4. It takes maybe a gallon. I can't say right now, I didn't do the volume calculation, of maybe 2 5-gallon buckets of water to fill it to the top. If you want to drain it or sweep it out, there's a wooden plug on the end that's bolted in. You remove it and you can clean it out. It would most likely evaporate on its own. And again, you can see the relationship of the 3 different spaces. Sorry, the clickers, I'm not well versed with the clicker. With that, through the mayor, I would like to request time to answer questions.
Thank you. No, I think he's done. We'll go to Councillor Gardner since she already started to the presentation or to the report. Go ahead, Councillor Gardner.
To the presentation and the report?
Yep.
Yes. As I said to you after the presentation, I'm just going to, I don't think I said all this to you. To me, this is the most thoughtful as to what our residents need, including from a mental health aspect. It's definitely, I don't know how you did that with this space. It's so small, but it's innovative. It's beautiful. And I would say this is very good use of the taxpayers' money. And in the beginning, I was not in favor of this. But just how you've added the green, you've moved the basically unused space. It's parking, so we have more green. We have a green block from the road. And we also have a wind phone. And if nobody has ever tried a wind phone, you got to do it. You just speak into this phone. You can speak to anybody you want. And it just is cathartic. And we have one in this design.
It was surprising to me to find that there's a global wind phone network and people register their wind phones. There are many across the entire world. There are multiple in Ontario. Cathartic is the word that people repeatedly use.
Thank you. There's one on the Oak Ridges Marine Trail.
There's one in Shepherd's Bush.
Is there?
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Definitely was quite collaborative. We certainly wanted to come up with symbology and narrative, like I had said previously, that was universal. But there was so much intelligent feedback, meaningful feedback from all of the groups that we spoke with. So it really has been a community effort to get it to where it is.
And Mr. Mayor, I forgot to mention very accessible.
Thank you. Councillor.
Thank you. I appreciate the design. I appreciate the concept and the thought that you had put in place for this space at Town Hall and the collaboration that you did. I do have some questions about the design elements. One, you've created a river space where we would normally collect for our flag raisings and community gatherings and such. And while it looks great on paper, there's a lot of whimsical lines, and I really don't know what that means. Do you have intentions to be making a hardscape there that's going to show this lineage, or is this just one open concrete space?
Question. I want to back up.
Can you talk into the microphone there?
Oh, right. Great question. I want to back up a little bit. Unfortunately, doesn't agree with me. Okay, unfortunately, in this rendering, the benches were omitted just because we were going very fast to get it here. There are two spaces where there are benches, and we would encourage benches to be put along.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the actual hardscape of the
Yes.
ground.
Yes.
Of what you're actually utilizing for that surface.
Yes, I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
So you can see there's two different shades of color,
Mhm.
right? It's all concrete. However, the way that it's built, because again, we had to think of constructability and the cost of that. The cheapest material that we can make a durable ground plane out of is concrete. We would like to go with a high albedo concrete just because of the heat gain on that side of the building in the summer months and with the trees. So the way that we do it, the dark spots represent slabs. They are concrete slabs that are poured in place. The light spots are curbs, right? So,
Curbs, what do you mean
yeah,
curbs?
basically, I know, because that's a big trigger word. In the technical construction, it's small. It's a linear piece of concrete, right? And we can pour it with a flexible form, but everything is flush. There's nothing of a more of a diversity of height than an expansion joint in a concrete sidewalk.
Different colors, different type of
Yeah.
concrete?
Well,
Like meaning different, like-
the curbs, right? The rivers, we usually call them rivers now, would be fiber and trained concrete so that they're durable and they don't crack and they stay together. It's much cheaper than using rebar. It only adds about 10% of cost per yard of concrete, right? And so we can pour them separately and treat them as different materials. So we still get this meaningful graphic, right? This
Okay.
meaningful division of space and this feeling in the place that it's not just a concrete slab.
Okay, so I like that. I like the feeling that you're getting from that whole river feel. And I'm asking questions just out of curiosity. I also have a little landscape design background, I'm not going to lie. It's great. That's great. I'm also looking, I know that just for the audience, because I don't know if they've read the report, but the black sticks there are to represent what would be trees, but they just put sticks there to kind of say this is where the tree is going to be, but they didn't put the branches in there so you could actually see what the rendering looked like, just for context so people know what that is. You have some greenery on the base, which looks like little grass patches, and I just feel like that's just not at all on a maintenance level very viable. What are you considering for the type of material there? Because I mean, I love what you're doing, but then I'm also looking at like, you want it to be calming and pretty and look good and prim and proper. If it looks messy and weedy and whatever, it doesn't become a really great place where you want to go and hang out. So are you looking at like a vinca, Pecusandra? Is this like fake grass? Like, I'm just trying to understand the concept because you are, I don't want to say taking away because it's not the right word, but you are encroaching on that community space that's intended for other public things that we do. And if we're going to do it with these extra added elements, they also have to look pretty and maintained and comfortable. So I'm just curious as to your concept and what your vision is there.
Adam?
Sorry.
What was that? Okay. I just want to bounce that back to you and ask you specifically, which area are you talking about that would
Where the river is, where you have these patches.
The
and then-
islands in the river.
Yes,
Right.
and there's islands,
Right.
like little patches of things we never had there before.
Right. So those are multifunctional. First of all, they're native grasses. So clumping native grasses. They're beautiful, right? They provide seasonal interest mixed in with a few native perennials, right? So it's extremely low maintenance. It's cut it once a year. That's it. And they grow back. It's native planting. So no, we're not using Pecusandra and stuff like that because it's invasive and we're so close to the riparian zone and the nature trail. We want to actually make it an extension of that. That was one of the things we saw a lot of, are people, community members coming through here to get to the trail, to go for walks either with their dog or with their spouse or with their family. So we wanted to kind of make an extension of that and use a lot of native plants. After all, it was the first group we spoke with was the Indigenous group, and that was important to them as well. And you can do contemporary, beautiful, low maintenance landscaping with the right combination of native plants. We do it all the time.
For sure.
So that is the islands. And then these mounded areas, the areas on the side, the slope.
Okay, I get that. We can just,
Yeah.
I totally
Okay.
get that.
Great.
I have two other questions.
Mhm.
So that piece with the water in the middle, and again, I just want to say, I do love the concept of design. I'm just really trying to like look at it as down the road maintenance and how the longevity, everything looks brand new and shiny up front. What's it going to look like in 10 years? So when I envision this water trough that you're talking about and you say, oh, we can just take a plug out and it can all go out. I'm envisioning this water that's sitting there. It's getting still, you're getting leaves, it's getting brown, it's going to start to rot, and we're going to have this murky water sitting in the middle. It's not going to be pretty. And I'm sorry, I'm being very frank about it, but that's kind of like what I foresee down the road. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that kind of outlook.
Adam?
So depth of the water was key, right? We couldn't make a deep channel because that would come into play. There has been a request because of the state of the trees and there was an arborist that looked at them. Some of those trees need to be removed. So when we go back to add trees to the area, we'll be thinking about how much trees drop into it. But with the depth that we're providing, it will almost always evaporate from it. And now this isn't something where it's animated all the time. But let's say a rainfall happens, there's a real downpour in the summer. It might fill halfway up. It might fill to the top. It will almost always evaporate shortly afterwards. It's similar to a bird bath. If you've had a bird bath.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm just not convinced on that little part, but we can agree to
struggled
disagree.
with the maintenance people too. And
We can agree to disagree on that
there's no
one.
plug.
Let's
Hey,
keep
hey.
everything through the chair, please.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just one final question. I understand, and this could just be the fact that it's a conceptual design and mean absolutely nothing. But I noticed in your parking, it didn't show the existing parking that was almost perpendicular to the town hall. Was that because we had taken it away? Because I know that you're changing some of the concept there. So on the left there's some parking that goes this way as well, and I feel like that's not there. Is it just because it just wasn't part of the rendering? It has nothing to do with it? Like, I just want to make sure, like, I'm trying to understand.
Adam?
Through Mr. Chair, sorry.
Go ahead.
That's very intentional as part of rethinking the parking in general. So where the flag poles are, there's limited funding for the space, right? We need to improve how many accessible parking, how many parking spots there are.
No, I'm sorry. I mean far left, and it's just further down. We have parking that goes perpendicular on both sides, and it doesn't show it on this plan.
Oh, on the plan we're looking at right now?
Yeah, I'm not talking adjacent to the actual town hall, but just across from it, there's parking that goes perpendicular to the building the same way, but it's not on this plan. So that just suggests to me that maybe perhaps that's not part of this plan, and that's just it's not part of that.
Through the mayor, may I invite my associate, Paul
Sure.
LaPalme?
Yep.
Thanks so much. Sorry, Paul, I'm the engineer on the parking space. So what's the exact location that you were referring to? In front of the flagpoles, yes, there are two existing.
No. Not in front of the flagpole. I would suggest it's on the west side of the building, south. On the south side parking.
We don't have a pointer, do we?
So where those green, the accessible ones, on the other side, we have parking that goes the exact same way like this. They're not there anymore. So I just want to make sure you're not taking those away.
Just immediately on the south side of Town
That's
Hall.
right, but they go the same way as the accessible ones or the ones that are adjacent to the town, but it's not
Yes.
reflected there. But I didn't know if it was just because it was an oversight in your plan. I didn't know if you were taking it away. I just want to, parking is very like, we really appreciate the parking here, and I don't want you taking that away to town hall.
There are little symbols on the layout that you might not be able to see that are the accessible spaces. So yes, where there are accessible spaces on the south
Oh,
side.
no, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about that. Through Mr. Mayor, maybe you can explain what I'm talking about. Am I not being clear?
So I think, Paul, I might understand what the counselor's asking. So just to the north where you have your yellow hatches where you can't park and then the parking begins. You see right at the top across from the accessible spots. We have spots currently that are the same way as those spots opposite from it. They're not there on here. So my understanding is we have rejigged the entire parking to maximize how many parking spots. So those spots that the counselor is actually asking about, they will be eliminated because they're making more parking spots.
But are they making them down the senior center side then? Like,
As you can see, the way it's constructed in the drawing, counselor, they've been eliminated. I'm sure the grade is slightly going to be fixed. So that way the parking can just continue right from north to south. Okay, thank you.
The whole parking lot. We're just optimizing the configuration. So just by repainting the lines and reusing some of the space that's currently driving and not parking spaces, we're actually increasing the total number of parking spaces by 17. And yet the existing 13 accessible spots will be maintaining the same number, 13.
So counselor, they're going to regrade that to make it one level essentially, because right now it's like an upper platform.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was a big point of contention for me. It wasn't reflected in the report. And through you, Mr. Mayor, to you as well. It's just understanding what are we getting in return for that. And so what you've just said, we've gained 17 spots. So I want to understand that because to me, it was a big red flag because it's cost when you're talking grading to that degree, it's going to cost in order to have that. So what's that rate of return? So if we're actually going to get 17 parking spot, that's great. But it would be interesting to know what that cost is to get that regrading done for the parking lot versus just leaving it as is and just putting new fresh lines.
Oh, go ahead.
Moving earth grading is very inexpensive compared to the asphalt and granular works. So we're generally maintaining the existing perimeter, the existing curbs, and very, very cost effective. We're at the preliminary design stage, and we're just running some numbers right now for construction costs that we can provide to staff in the next few weeks as we continue through the design process.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry I was such a hard person on you guys, but there were some things there I needed answered, and you did a good job. Thanks.
Councillor Weese?
Yes, and thanks for the presentation. I was not a fan of this location to begin with, but I'm warming up to it. And the reason I wasn't a fan of it is because it's in a very high traffic area. I mean, John West Way has a lot of traffic going up and down it. The senior center across the way is very busy almost all the time. And of course, we have town hall here. So I guess I'd like you to speak to how you're going to buffer the area so it looks like it's a place for reflection and quiet and thoughtfulness, et cetera, what it's really designed for. And you're going to protect that area. I heard you say, well, there's no place that people can hide, and I appreciate the security purposes there. But if you'd speak to the buffering and the shutting the outside out on behalf of that space, I'd appreciate it. Through you, Mayor.
Adam?
Realistically, we can't create something completely different. Right? It is the community center space. It is next to a building. Probably one of the renderings that showed it best was the initial ones where we show creating, in the existing conditions, we showed slopes that are currently right now not stable.
Adam, can I get you to shift over?
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. They're very sharp, the slopes currently, and they're eroding, right? So that was a problem for us to begin with. And if we can carve that slope back, make that a stabilized slope, we can stabilize it with large growing shrubs and forest undergrowth and then some trees. We can't soundproof it, but maybe it's because I'm coming from Toronto. It's much more peaceful than some places. But again, it's a community space, and I see it where it's for grieving and mourning as a group in the community, a place where you can do it with others. It may not be the best place for solitary, isolated grieving.
Councillor?
Okay, enough said. That was my purpose for bringing it. If you're still in the design phase and you have some things that you know that can start to make it a little more private, but not remote, you have my attention.
Size. So there are some evergreens that really make barriers. Then there are deciduous things, and it's layering those in a very strategic way so that you feel that maybe you can cry in that space because you wouldn't in front of people. But at the same time, you can tell if teenagers are drinking a case of beer there.
Council.
Does that make sense?
Done.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner, second time.
Thank you. You didn't mention this round circle, which would act as a seating area, maybe even like a table kind of thing, a platform for somebody to stand on to give a speech. And the question was about the flagpole. So I think you did plan to have a flagpole in here. So
If I can just, so in the bottom left-hand corner of this image, there are 4 small circles. Each one of those represents a flagpole. The one furthest to the left of the screen is a new flagpole because it was requested that we provide a 4th flagpole. So they are still there. This time they're protected from being run into by cars or delivery trucks.
Councillor.
thank you. And the ones that are existing now are being protected by some green. Thank you.
Separate the area, and this goes back to Councillor Weese's question a bit. We do want to find as much appropriate separation and the feeling of being separated from outside of this space as we can, and that was part of the barrier here on that south side. Another one too was that we're also honest with ourselves about the state of things and the times we live in. And we wanted to make sure that if there was a group gathering, the area was also protected from vehicular traffic. So it's playing a double role in that spot. It's a small earthwork with some armor stone on the front where people can sit. We did see a lot of teenagers sitting on the curb in the corner and coming into that area. Again, we do want to make this into a space that is as welcoming and useful as the inside of the community, of the town hall.
Councillor. Councillor.
So that's fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, gentlemen, thank you. Looks great. Glad we're getting more extra spots. We appreciate that. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 9.2, Councillor Gallo, you pulled this one. Did you want to move the recommendation?
Just a motion to receive for now, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, seconder. Councillor Gardner, go ahead, Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. Before addressing the substance of the report, I must address process. Under strong mayor authority, the mayor has the power to set agenda and determine which items are brought before council consideration. With that authority comes a heightened responsibility to ensure that items placed before council, particularly those involving significant financial implications, are supported by comprehensive, reliable information. Under strong mayor powers, the budget before council is the mayor's budget. The $500,000 allocation for Victoria Hall was placed in the 2025 budget under his authority just a few months ago. What we have before us tonight is a request to increase a capital budget from $500,000 to $2.182 million, a 336% increase based on a Class D estimate. In my view, advancing a multi-million-dollar escalation of this magnitude under agenda-setting authority and the mayor's recent budget without the necessary supporting financial analysis is irresponsible. Council's role is financial stewardship. When we are being asked to more than quadruple a project budget, we must be provided with sufficient clarity and certainty to exercise that duty responsibly. Now, the substance of the report. I support preserving heritage assets. I support accessibility compliance, and I support revitalizing our downtown core. However, the mayor's 2025 budget was a $500,000 refurbishment project just a few months ago. What is now before us reflects a materially expanded scope, including demolition of the south addition, replacement of flooring systems with a slab on grade construction, significant structural remediation, major electrical and mechanical replacement, expanded consulting contracts. If structural deficiencies such as dry rot and load failures were present, why were they not fully identified during the earlier feasibility work? A 336% increase suggests the original estimate did not fully capture the project's true condition. Further, the revised budget is based on a Class D estimate, which staff acknowledge carries a high degree of uncertainty. Yet we are being asked to fully fund the 2.18 million, draw 1.682 million from the growth and new reserve, and delegate procurement authority for non-standard contracts exceeding 250,000. That represents a significant financial commitment at an early costing stage, while simultaneously reducing council oversight and thresholds. There's also limited public financial modeling provided regarding the long-term operation of the facility. Before committing over 2 million in capital funds, council should have clear understanding of the operational framework, revenue expectations, life cycle maintenance costs, ongoing operating impact, and overall municipal return. Even where strategic opportunities may exist, good governance requires that capital investment be matched with a defined financial structure. The proposed use of the growth and new reserve also warrants caution. That reserve is generally intended to support growth-related infrastructure. Reallocating it to this project during a period of constrained development charge revenue requires stronger justification. I'm not opposed to revitalizing Victoria Hall, but fiscal prudence requires a Class C estimate, refined cost certainty, defined contingencies, clear operating and life cycle projections, confirmed reserve alignment. Approving a 336% increase based on a high uncertainty estimate under strong mayor agenda setting authority and while expanding delegated procurement authority places council in a position of committing substantial public funds without sufficient financial certainty. For these reasons, I cannot support the recommendation as presented this evening. I would support deferral under more detailed financial and operational information when more financial and operational information is brought forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Weese, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just trying to wade through the comments that I had, and Councillor Gallo's done a pretty good job of explaining them. One thing, and it's through you, Mayor, to probably Ms. McDougall, could you give me the implications of authorizing a non-standard procurement award? I just think it should be done in circumstances, well, there's a couple of circumstances for sure that are in the Municipal Act, but I'd like to find out why that this was ending up being a sole source procurement through you, Mayor, to the Treasurer then. Thank you.
Ms. Mayor, I guess.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So when we have non-standard procurements, most non-standard procurements that exceed 250,000 do require council approval. So what this recommendation is saying is for the situation where it relates only to the consulting services relating to this project, that be waived.
Okay.
This is similar to what was done with Aurora Town Square for increasing consulting costs throughout that project.
Thank you. The real question was, why was it used? I know you have to come back to council over 250, but why is it used in this instance? For you to Ms. Wainwright Kessel.
Ms. Mayor, Ms. McDougall.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, often a request of this nature would be to keep a progress of a project moving forward. So if it gets real close to that evaluation of how much funds are required, and subsequently we know they need to do more work, but we don't want to slow the pace down because that affects costs of everything, delays of other consultants. So to keep the pace going and moving, allowing the staff to keep moving within a threshold to allow us to approve it, and that delegated authority for us to do so. That's what that is. So we don't delay the project. We can alternatively come to council or go through the process of internal approvals. It just delays, slows, and puts a pause on a project while we're getting that approval.
Okay, that
No, sir.
thank you. That responds to the reasons why from an urgency standpoint. And I think there's some concerns about whether this is so urgent. And I understand the urgency is that inflation and costs sometimes escalate in these types of things, but there's also risks that you do from having non-competition in a sole source, and that could mitigate any increases that you have that result from a bit of a delay. And in my view, this is being rather urgent, rather quickly, and as was said before, there may not be quite enough information here. I agree with the Class D estimate issue and the risks that are in there. And there's a comment in here. It says, although staff has endeavored to provide an objective estimate of the anticipated project costs, reliance on Class D throughout the project cycle is risky due to the high level of uncertain and limited reliability underlying. And the contingency is often in the range of 20 to 40%. So it puts a big red flag up here in terms of this running over budget because of the way that we're managing the estimates and going through it. So I really want to have you think about that, because I don't feel comfortable with that. What other things I missed? And it states that the council does not, if council doesn't approve the funding, existing contracts include clauses that permit the town to not move forward with projects. And the town will be required to compensate vendors for completed work. Could you tell me exactly what this means, and basically what is the town on the hook for right now after we've put $500,000 in a budget? I don't know where we are in terms of the expenditures of that $500,000. So through you, Mayor, to one or two.
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly so far, the spend on this with utilizing the consultants that we've procured to utilize, we've spent about $40,000 of that $500,000 to get to us where we are today. As far as closing out, if there was a termination, we just have to wrap that up with the existing consultant, just to ensure we've paid off the final invoices, that they have done work that they have completed on our behalf.
Councillor?
Okay, so there have been no engineering studies. I didn't see anything in here that was indicative of the engineering that's required to make these decisions to go from 500,000 to 200 or 2.2 million. So have there been engineering studies that we just haven't seen here that we're unaware of? Because I'm not getting the feeling from the report that there's evidence behind the increases and what you're asking for to go forward. So through you, Mayor, probably.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, there has been additional studies to the property done through further engineering. That's how we got to the confirmation of the flooring structure running out. So there has been additional studies through engineering services to try to validate those underlying assumptions that were made in the 2024 feasibility. And I think that's where we're seeing this expanded cost is from now. We've tested those assumptions from the 2024 feasibility study in 2025, and now we're seeing that those assumptions just didn't hold up. So that's where the scope has changed now from the flooring system to the adjacent components within the interior design and everything as well. So there has been additional studies to the property to test those underlying assumptions, and that's where we're seeing the expanded scope come from.
Councillor.
So thank you. And the expanded scope then, is that expanded scope based upon the necessary requirements to meet code, for instance, or is it a specific requirement to meet something beyond the original intent, which was to bring the building back to a point where it could be properly used by the community and maybe tenancy? So I'm just wondering what the scope of that study was to allow this to go 300+% higher. And why did we, how do we make that error? Is it just timing? Was it short-sightedness? Did we not know where we were going, or is there been a change in scope? Through you, Mayor?
Ms. McDougall.
Maybe Ms.
I'll
McDougall?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start. Just I do want to point out in the capital program for the 500,000, which was presented to council in 2024, which was approved for your 2025 budget. So it's been over a year that we've had this, the 500,000 to work with. Within that, and in the description included, the assessments done at that point had been, and would include visual assessments. That's part of the challenge we're facing, is we've taken it that one step farther and doing that deeper dive, resulting in what we're learning that's now under the ground that we've got to fix. The visual assessment was the original 500,000. We could, and it's similar to it aligns a little bit, if you go even further back, quite a ways back to 2016, the AECOM study that was done on the repurposing of Vic Hall. It did look at the general improvements that could be made. And even back then, that valuation was just over 600,000 in 2016 for what was deemed to be basic requirements of improvement. We've now come to learn, even going deeper by doing the flooring review, for example, that it's a lot more intensive than we had anticipated back then, and even in the 500,000 assessment.
Councillor.
Thanks. I see my colleagues have some other questions, so I'll just cede the floor. Thank you. Now,
I'll just say that I think staff will provide that AECOM repurposing study in case anyone doesn't remember it. Councillor Gardner, you probably do remember it. Same with Councillor Kim and Councillor Thompson, because we discussed it back when we were looking at the square. It looked at all of our properties and holdings, and Victoria Hall was one, and it actually designed it the way it's being designed in this report as well. So this is not just something that's come out of the blue. It's something that came out of that repurposing study for us to look at. And as Ms. McDougall mentioned, 2016, it cost $613,000 at that time as an estimate, a visual estimate. But go ahead, Councillor Gardner. We'll provide that for everybody in case you don't have it.
I don't know where to start, but looking at page 2, the town contracted an engineering architectural firm to conduct a feasibility study. And this study was, it was before you were here, but it was visual assessments of the building, a review of the historic designation status, and a review of previous condition reports. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that that is serious enough to make any pronouncement on anything. What I was looking for was to bring Victoria Hall back to, I mean, it's a heritage building. We have to maintain it. So whatever was required to maintain it. But we had the town square, we had the armory, we had a lot going on. So there was no decision about what we were going to do with this. My understanding, perhaps incorrect, was that we were going to cherish this as a heritage site. And if we could do something in it, we could do something. It's a small space. I've been in, and it's not accessible. There's not an accessible washroom. And we've been through this before, but we talked about a ramp, but to me, this is not where we spend this money. And I've heard from a lot of residents, there's kind of shock in the community about the price tag on this end, the price tag as a D estimate. So I just can't support it.
Yep, Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, like everyone else, I'm certainly shocked at the price tag. When we were notified or informed several months ago, the 500,000 price tag was based on making Victoria Hall safe enough that we can have just, basic activities. And certainly with a 140-year-old building, there's got to be some leniency in terms of you're going to uncover some challenges, most certainly. But certainly a variance that's almost 4 times is something that was not on my radar. So that's certainly, I agree with everyone that it's certainly a sticker shock. And to think that this figure is just for basic safety and be able to bring the electrical and other things to code. I'm just wondering, if, whatever the activity might be in the future, that price tag might even be escalated. Also because this is a level D estimate, which is roughly 30 to 50%. So this price tag can certainly go up upwards of 3 million based on the calculations. So given that there are many expert consultants involved and each of them will be charging significant fees, there's got to be, or I'm wondering if staff has considered the go, no-go situation. At what point, whether we have electrical experts, hydrological experts, soil experts, they're all going to be costing a significant amount, upwards of 250 or even greater. So there's got to be a go or no-go situation from a financial perspective. And so through you, Mr. Mayor, if staff can share with us what that point would be.
Ms. McGo.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think ultimately it's not really staff's call to make a decision of how much funds to spend. But I would suggest that in order for a facility like this, a heritage facility, to be brought back up and be put back into proper use with all the appropriate code requirements and accessibility, and certainly be celebrated as a historic site, because we know it is, and it needs to meet those heritage requirements, and certainly be brought before the Heritage Advisory Committee and certainly get those various approvals to celebrate the historic, just as we did for Town Square. We celebrated the 22 church on the design, and I think that's what the original scope of or original scale of the design you're seeing in this report is simply just look an ability to celebrate that heritage aspect, but yet keep it as basic as possible. As you can see, it's an open community space to enable that access for the community. What use ends up being in that is ultimately still also council's call. But in order for staff to get you that number, we still need to complete a proper design for you. And even if it meant going to tender it, then we come back and ask for the final budget figure. That's another way to consider an option. But for us to put a cap on what we think is acceptable, that's a bit hard to say, because I do think at this point we still have answers in a design we don't have to be able to present to you or Heritage at this point. We need to go a little further and spend a bit more to get that design for council.
Councillor.
Thank you. And based on the discussions we're having right now, it seems that the budget has to be tied to the use. And because we don't know that yet, I'm in favor of just having this report for receipt only, and until we get more information. Thank you.
Councillor Gillett.
Thank you. I've heard a lot around the table, and I've heard some residents, and I've also talked to staff as well. And I'm very conflicted, but at the end of the day, I look at Victoria Hall and I say Victoria Hall matters. It's a historic piece of history in our downtown core. And if we're going to invest in it, the way I see it, we got to do it properly. And from my understanding, we're really trying to invest in the shell of what we're actually trying to protect. And if what I'm going to say, what this report really makes clear is essentially staff has gone beyond the surface level, and you've definitely discovered what the building actually needs in order to have those changes made. And I don't think this is something that we can kind of helter-skelter. This is something that we need to do properly once. Structural issues, accessibility requirements, as we've talked about, the modern building code standards, that's changed quite a bit. It doesn't really leave much room for shortcuts anywhere in these times. And I accept that. And unfortunately, when it comes to historic buildings, older structures reveal the truth. And sometimes that truth isn't always what we want to hear. And unfortunately, that's what costs money. And the longer you wait, the more and more it's going to cost. I've heard about the cost, extremely fair. Fair to ask these questions. That's why we're asking tonight. Share the same questions. You've obviously explained some of that with this ACON report or the study you're talking about in 2016. I wasn't here. I'd love to see that report. I think that really bears a lot of weight on where we are today and the vision of where we want to protect our asset. I'm the mindset that we have a great asset. We should protect it and we should do what we can. With that, I do have a question. Because I know we had a lot of talk about the Class D estimate. I did have some questions about this. And as we move towards the Class D estimate and designs, can staff confirm that the contingencies that will be actively reduced and that any material budget variance will be reported back to council rather than being absorbed? Because I think that's really important.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes. Certainly we would be actively monitoring that as we go forward. And that with the Class D, and I also wanted to clarify, as it's been mentioned a couple of times, the percentage and contingency that was discussed is already in that 2.1, where we've accounted for a contingency within the 2.1. So it's not anticipated to go 2.1 plus another 30-40% in the range of how Class Ds work. That being said, that percentage would be monitored to ensure that as we refine the budget, there's going to be give and take. Some things as they refine it, we'll learn maybe there's a added cost to a particular piece of infrastructure, but something else was less. So the balance of the project will tighten, budget itself will tighten. Subsequently, the evaluation and contingencies can also lessen because we now are more sure about the outcome of what that design should be. So we will definitely be monitoring that and could be coming back to council with a feedback once we get that far.
Councillor?
Thank you to you, Mr. Mayor. And so exactly, the fiscal responsibility matters in this case. And I understand, I think that was really the overarching question of reporting back and understanding the contingency and how that's being managed. And I think that you answered that well, and that's what we're looking at. And, you know, as council, we should really dismiss that instinct of making sure we're being fiscally responsible. It's what we try to do to protect our taxpayers every day. This building, once it was properly opened up, it's become clear that the structure, accessibility, and the core system simply can't just support future use with serious intervention, which is what this is really talking about with the floorboards and so forth. It's not a choice between spending more or less. It's between investing in what works properly and versus spending money repeatedly on a building that never quite works. And so I've heard some council and people and maybe some members of the public saying, let's just kind of do what we kind of need to do. So, you know, you can put lipstick on a pig all day long, but then you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I just feel like we got to do this right. From a return on investment point, and I think that's all our big question, this project does three things, and this is the way I look at it, all at once. One, it preserves and designates a heritage asset. Two, it deserves a fully accessible and code compliant space that can actually be used and potentially generate some value. And rather than just sitting there empty, I heard some delegates talking about some of the historic uses of this space: dance, yoga, cafe, meeting space, protecting assets, community investment, so forth. Absolutely. I don't want to see this space being idle and doing nothing. I actually want to see be vibrant and something that we're going to utilize, whatever it's going to end up. But you have to make an investment in order to be used properly. For me, this is like a focus on discipline and not delay, just clear budget limits. Talking about the consulting costs, because I know this is something that has come up. Can staff confirm that the consulting fees will be managed and within an industry-related percentage of construction valued for a project of this scale and complexity. And I think that's something that we're all thinking.
Here, Mr. Mayor, I apologize, keep stealing Kyle's thunder here, but with regards to the consultant figure, by all means, we definitely intend to try to do our best to maintain it within the industry standard. That being said, and I think Kyle has said this best to me, but this is a very unique project. It's a small project, but it is unique in the sense of you're combining a renovation with a heritage, with a new piece of infrastructure combination, all in one. That we even learned through Town Square. It's very complex when you're putting all those pieces together. The reality is with this consultancy and the costs, and consultancies can be higher costs when it's a small individual project versus it being part of something larger, because it can be spread out. Their tasks, their responsibilities, what they have to do and create can be spread out over a larger project if it were larger. In this case, they still have to do all the same roles and responsibilities, but on a much smaller scale. Therefore, their efforts are similar, but all in one delivery. So we will definitely be monitoring, but as I had sent you an email in response to the comment, we will do everything we can, but there may be unforeseen things we still don't know. You pull something off the wall and lo and behold, there's something else behind there. They may have to do some other redesign. We'll do everything we can to keep it within that. But there may always be something that we can't control, something that we can communicate with council when and if we learn of it.
Councillor.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer. And I know we have tonight as received. I know that as council, we're all waiting for more information between now and council. But this is definitely something that I want to see at least some language in there about confirming those consulting fees, because that is their job to make sure that, they foresee some of the scale and the complexity of the things that they do uncover and that we're protected in that way. So that is, I look forward to that information that we will get between now and council about some of the questions and things that we've been asking tonight.
Councillor Gallo, second time.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. McDougall, when were we made aware that this was a problem in terms of being well above the $500,000 budget?
Kyle? Revised estimate, the Class D estimate came in about the last quarter, 2025. So that's where staff went through that process of, okay, well, how do we identify this and then bring this forward? So it was about the last quarter in 2025.
Okay, so is it fair to say that we would have known this during the budget process?
Kyle?
Not to my
I'd have to say no,
knowledge.
Councillor. We would have to, if anything, we would have been close to maybe making an amendment, but I think we had already passed the amendment phase. I see Ms. McDougall shaking her head yes.
So how are we made aware? Is there an engineering study? Is there something that made us aware of this?
Or Ms. McDougall? Yeah, go ahead, Ms.
McDougall. Kyle may be more suitable to answer about the timing and the engineering study that would have presented this, but there is results that we've worked with the consulting firm that we do have the information that has been provided to staff. Yes.
So there's a consulting firm that has identified the figures that are before us through you, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. McDougall?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes.
And can that be shared to council?
Ms. McDougall?
We can certainly share that with council.
Thank you. I can't help but to understand or believe that this is, and I mean no disrespect to anyone, but it's my perspective, and you'll forgive me if I'm somewhat jaded. I've seen these things before. JOC comes to mind. At $16 million, I was supportive. It ended up over $35 million. So you'll forgive me if I have issues when I see these types of reports. There's many questions and some new ones just tonight. If there's a 2016 study that, as I've heard, Mr. Mayor, you said it was kind of what we want to do now, came in at $600,000 9 years ago. This is total mismanagement if a budget of 500,000 in 2025 for the same scope, does that make any sense to anybody? It makes no sense. Something is wrong. If in 2016, it was 600,000, and in 2025, it's 500,000 for the same scope, that's mismanagement. Because any rational person would have seen that and said, something's wrong here. Either the scope has changed or something just went wrong and we didn't catch it. And now we've caught it. So you'll forgive me if more and more issues come as we discuss this. To me, it's pushing reset. And I'm sorry, but if it's not newfound money, we're digging deep in the crevices of this town to figure out how to pay for this thing. But if it's newfound money, well, there's a place called Hillary House that probably could be helpful to spend some money on. To me, it's a reset. And we have to reset our priorities. If we have this money to spend, let's figure out whether or not there are other buildings or other aspects, other assets that may be more viable. And I think that's the exercise that we need to do. I'm not going to go in, sorry, Councillor Gillen, I'm not going to necessarily go in this blindly just because I want to see Victoria Hall redone at any cost. I'm not in on that. We found a problem, a really big problem. It quadrupled. And that leads me to say, push reset, reassess. Is this the project we want to do? And to what degree? If we have this money, can it be spent better elsewhere? So to me, unless some significant new information comes forward to justify this, it's a hard stop for me, and it's a reset to see where we spend our money, and is this the right place for it?
You, Councillor Gardner, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just curious about the financing. From the Facility Asset Management Reserve, is that our repair and replacement reserve? Thank you. And what is the balance in that reserve at the moment?
Mayor Evan Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll have to get back to you with the balance, but you can see the projected balances in the 10-year reserve forecast that are in the budget.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Because not so long ago, it was $53.5 million in the hole. And with respect to growth and new, how can we rationalize this as growth and new? I guess through you, Mr. Mayor, whoever wants it, but I can't figure that one out.
Mayor Evan Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So there are aspects of this project which are clearly asset management and refurbishment. But when we look at expanding the use of the property, so we're expanding the use to be able to actually use it for something, that reflects growth and new investment in this asset. So that's why the growth and new reserve was selected.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure I understand you. So it's if it's the heritage designated heritage structure and we've been using it for hardly anything, then if we use it for another purpose, then it would qualify under growth and new? Is that what you said?
Mayor Evan Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so yes, we're using it for a new purpose. So that is why we applied the growth and new reserve.
Councillor.
Right, but we don't have a new purpose on the table yet. Thank you.
You, Councillor Gillen, second time.
Thank you. It's just really a point of clarification that my comments were, if we're going to invest in it, we need to do it properly, not halfway, not blindly.
You, any other comments, questions? I'll just say not enough info. We've heard this before. Town Square, Slab Town, gym expansion. Same argument every time. Not enough information. I'm not going to go forward with this. At some point, leadership means making a decision. And with Victoria Hall, the choice is simple. Renovate it, sell it, or demolish it. But if we believe in protecting our heritage, renovation is the only responsible option. It's funded from our reserves that exist to invest in infrastructure and capital assets. It does not impact the tax rate. This is about investing in our community, period. Doing nothing is a neutral choice. Delaying the work is effectively demolition by decay. That is what we accuse developers and builders of doing when they come into our community and allow buildings to rot. Yet we're suggesting we should wait? Allowing a heritage building to deteriorate to the point where demolition becomes inevitable. This is what happens when leadership looks the other way. I will not allow that to happen to one of Aurora's heritage assets. And if people think the cost is high today, absolutely, they're sticker shock. But they should ask themselves, what will it cost 1 or 2 years from now? Construction costs are not going down. Waiting only makes this more expensive and risks losing the building entirely. Leadership is about choices. I choose to protect our heritage. I choose to invest responsibly. I choose to act now so this building can serve our community for another 100 years. That's not politics, that's leadership. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you, Kyle. 10.1, Councillor Kim, you pulled this. Did you want to move? Councillor Kim, you want to move it?
Yes, I'll move it.
Thank you. Seconder? Seconder? Councillor Gillen, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greg, it's great to see you and the team. Thank you for the report. I want to start by saying I do appreciate the amount of work that has gone on into this over several years. It's clear that staff have taken the 2021-24 plan seriously, and I do recognize the progress that's been made, especially around recruitment, training, and workplace culture. I appreciate the shift towards measuring progress, not just talking about values. I also appreciate that this is a status report and not asking council to make a decision tonight. That's helpful. That said, as I read the report, I had a few questions that are important from a council oversight point of view. A lot of what's outlined here focuses on activities, what was done, but it's a bit harder to understand which actions actually made the biggest difference. What were the outcomes because of the actions? Report states that 49 initiatives were completed. Not all initiatives have the same impact, and I'd like to better understand how staff assesses what really moved the needle. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Greg, if you can highlight or illustrate a few of the 49 initiatives and what were the outcomes, that help us to better understand and give us more context of the report.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So a lot of them, again, as you mentioned, were highlighted at a more of a higher level on the report. As you mentioned, it is really to show an overview of where we are today. You mentioned strengthening our organizational culture. At our last employee engagement survey, we saw that we were, I can't remember the exact number, but we were well over the industry standard amongst our peers on all things diversity, equity, and inclusion within our organization, amongst the peers in our other municipalities. Improvement in recruitment practices, changing our job posting languages, diversifying where we present and advertise our jobs has grown exponentially since 2021 to today. Increase in corporate training, organizational wide sessions, our speaker series, for example, partnering with other municipalities as well to do that, bringing in those external facilitators to really educate and to expand that information and that knowledge amongst our staff.
Councillor.
Okay. Thanks, Greg. And I also noticed that the employee engagement surveys is the main method in measuring progress, or KPIs as we consider it. I think surveys are useful, but they mostly show how people feel. And I'm wondering if there are plans to add other ways of tracking outcomes over time, so council has a fuller picture beyond perceptions alone. For instance, it would be great to know how the actions are impacting, retention outcomes, staff promotions, service impacts, and other long-term trends. So perhaps not now, but in the future report, would it be feasible to have those types of progressive outcomes or KPIs to us so that we can be kind of engaged in that way?
Spirit?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we can definitely do that. Again, we're not developing at this point a new plan, but we're definitely looking at refining our metrics and making sure that they're measurable and attainable moving forward.
Councillor?
Great. Thank you very much for the great work, and look forward to the next report.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner?
Also, I want to thank you very much for your work. This is a hard job and you're doing it very well. I have a question about, it's disappeared, but when you're talking about partnerships with other businesses, organizations that have DEI, so how does that work? Do we advertise jobs there? And yes.
Spirit?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so it's a little bit of everything, whether it's job posting. I have a list here, the Charity Village, Work and Culture, Municipal World, WXN Career Center, different colleges and universities as well, but also through the speaker series and engaging consultants and speakers to come in to speak to us, working with our other municipalities through the Municipal Diversity Inclusion Group throughout York Region. So there's different ways that we are partnering with our agencies in town.
Councillor?
I'm sorry, I should have asked you this before the meeting, but has it shown any results? Are there any tangible results from this that you can point to, or perhaps at the council meeting?
Spirit?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I mean, from a numbers base, I don't know if I can provide that to you, but more from a qualitative, we have increase in opportunities for staff. We have a new learning management system coming online this year, which exposes town staff to additional training and resources. We have an increase in, again, I mentioned our speaker series through HR in collaboration with Newmarket, and we're seeing increase in numbers throughout staff attending those sessions as well. National Accessibility Week is another good example where we've partnered with community agencies and organizations, and we've seen an increase in uptake from our community partners in attendance. That's more community-based, not necessarily internal. So the increase is there, more qualitative than quantitative.
Councillor?
Thank you. And of course, as always, an increased awareness of the importance. Thank you.
Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I don't have a question for you, and I'm supportive of this initiative. I have a clerical issue. The policy portion of the report is a scan or an image, and it's not a PDF, which means it's not searchable. So anyone trying to search for anything in this cannot do it. Can we have that fixed before council and on the public agenda?
Spirit?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you're talking about the attachment?
Yes, the actual
Yes,
policy.
so we can look at making it in a better format so that it is readable.
Yeah, a PDF like everything else.
Yeah.
Versus an image.
For
Councillor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Take our health break, council. 10 minutes. Quorum. 10.2, council, we are back. 10.2, Councillor Gallo, you pulled, yeah. That's fine. Councillor Gallo, you pulled this one. Did you want to move the recommendation?
Sorry, which one?
10.2.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Gallo, go ahead, Councillor Gallo.
I just wanted to pull it and highlight just a thank you to staff for developing this. I think going forward, it will be very helpful to us and the public to be able to see these reports as well as just manage them properly. So I just want to thank staff for putting this forward, and I'm in full support.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Gallo.
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor and Mr. Serio. I did have some questions for you, and it was more or less based on the motion that moving forward, was this based on the date of the motion moving forward? Because I'm really more concerned about the staff's work involved in releasing these documents and the work that's been backtracked, I guess, from previous things.
Sarah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we will only be doing this for reports moving forward and actually from the date of the motion. In terms of the ones from the past, we've only done those if they were requested by council.
Councillor.
Thank you. And just for the record, what was the date of that? So public knows.
Sarah.
Or just in and around the month and the year is fine.
The report was, sorry, the motion came in October 2025.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Any other comments, questions? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 11.1, Councillor Gardner pulled this one. She said, does someone want to move the recommendation? Councillor Gillen, seconded. Councillor Gallo. Any comments or questions on this? Call. Oh, Councillor Kim, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm in favor of the report, but just for clarity, the report notes that only formatting changes were made, but the attachment was a full IPS. And so I just want to confirm that there's no substantive policy or any kind of strategy changes, but it's just formatting.
Swear in, I guess.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. There's no changes. The only change is the actual format of the template.
Okay, and thank you. And lastly, I'm not sure whether you know, but given the recent changes, like in the broader investment and regulatory environment, like how does staff or the JIB team ensure our investment policy remains focused on financial performance and risk management? Because specifically, like ESG screens were removed from a lot of investment management firms in North America, and it's been debated whether in some circles confirmed that ESG is more of a moral and ethical screen rather than a pure investment performance one. And has that conversation ever been discussed within the JIB in terms of why we use the ESG screen?
Swear, I guess.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do not recall specifically that being discussed, but all the Joint Investment Board meetings are available on YouTube for viewing. We do get regular updates from the OCIO to provide updates on the market and the fund performance. So the information is publicly available on the One Joint Investment Board webpage.
Councillor.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Weese.
You just said that there's only one change that you thought was a policy change, and you're moving one JIB format to the standard Town of Aurora layout and structure. So can you tell me what the outcome is expected from that?
Swear, Van Kessel.
Through Mr. Mayor, so the town's policy program includes a specific template for us to have all our policies abide by. So what we wanted to do is take this opportunity to move the format onto the town's own policy.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the other municipalities that participate in the Joint Investment Board do use their own templates. So we felt that this was a good time to get moved over to the town's template to be consistent with all of our other policies.
Explains it perfect. Thanks. Thanks, Mayor.
Any other comments or questions? Call vote. All those in favor? Opposed? carries. 11.2, Councillor Gallo, you pulled this one. Did you want to move the recommendation?
Just to receive for now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Kim, Councillor Gallo, go ahead.
Thank you. I want to begin by saying that I support modernization. Procurement policies should evolve. Administrative clarity is welcome. Addressing audit findings is responsible governance. However, this report is presented as mostly administrative. It is not. There are substantive changes embedded in these amendments, particularly related to non-standard procurements, piggybacks, and exclusions, and those deserve careful scrutiny. Piggybacks are over 250,000 removal of council oversight. Under this amendment, piggyback procurement over 250,000 would no longer require council approval and instead may be authorized by the Procurement Governance Committee. That is not a minor housekeeping update. Piggybacks can involve fleet purchases, major IT systems, consulting contracts, infrastructure-related agreements. We are effectively delegating potentially multi-million-dollar decisions away from council. Council still has a fiduciary role to ensure it fits Aurora's needs, the scope align with our needs. There has been prior value for money review. Efficiency should not come at the expense of accountability. Expansion of non-standard procurement grounds. The amendment quoted language allows non-standard procurement for reasons such as significant inconvenience, substantial duplication of cost, best interest of the town. These are subjective standards. Without clear thresholds or documentation requirements, this increased discretion is sole sourcing decisions. We must be careful not to unilaterally weaken competitive procurement protections. New exclusions, advertising, PR, and sponsorship. The bylaw proposes excluding advertising for town services, public relations and media services, social media monitoring, event sponsorship. These can represent significant expenditures. While I understand the need for flexibility in communications, a complex exclusion from competitive requirements removes transparency safeguards. If anything, communication spending should be especially transparent. This is not about mistrust of staff, it is about balance. Procurement is one of the largest financial control mechanisms of any municipality. As council, our responsibility is stewardship, not just efficiencies. I will be introducing amendments to maintain oversight for large piggyback procurements and to strengthen transparency reports requirements. I'll do that before council. This comes before council.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gillen?
Thank you. The only comment I had through Mr. Mayor was I look forward to the amendments because you raised some really good points. And maybe between now and council, maybe staff will provide us with additional context with that as well.
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 14.1, Councillor Gardner pulled that. Does someone want to move the recommendation? Councillor Kim, seconder. I got to move her. Councillor Kemp. Councillor Weese, is there any comments or questions on this item? None? I'll just say oh, yeah. Okay. Push the button. Councillor Gallo, go ahead.
So we have to figure out how to navigate this. I don't know whether or not the minutes, I think there were some added minutes that may reflect the meeting of last week. And in that meeting, I reviewed it. I wasn't able to go. There was a lot of discussion. In terms of Limeridge, there was discussions about the inability to add some traffic calming measures on the street. I think there was one section that there could be a speed bump on the north leg there, I believe. A lot of discussion from, I don't know whether she's OPP or YRP officer, probably YRP, just advising on what strategies the residents can take in terms of communicating with YRP if they notice people that are speeding on the street. The committee was excellent in terms of trying to find alternative ways of dealing with the issue on Limeridge. On Gateway, I think the appropriate thing is to, and through you, Mr. Mayor, to staff, just to clarify the north leg of Gateway, there were no residents who did a survey, and I believe that's necessary. And just through you, to Mr. Mayor, whether or not it's incumbent upon the residents to do that, or is that something that staff is able to do?
Nancy, do you mind coming down?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gallo, yes. So there's 3 warrants that have to be met for us to consider traffic calming and bring it forth to council for further consideration. Warrant 1 for the North Lake from Peterson to St. John's Side Road is the petition. 70% of residents that live within that area would have to sign a petition and provide it to council for us to, to staff to continue our evaluation for traffic calming measures, and we do not have that. So we don't have warrant 1 for that northern piece. The piece we have for Gateway is that southern portion.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just my question is whether or not it's incumbent upon the residents to do that, or is that now that we have all of this, is that something that staff would do or no?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gallo, it is incumbent on the residents to bring that forward and initiate that process.
Okay, so I'll endeavor to communicate to Michael. I believe he was the one who did the one on the south leg. And I think the best approach would be to get that complete in terms of Gateway, and then we can make a decision whether or not to. I think there's a possibility of putting 2 speed humps on there. There was a lot of discussion on when we repaint the street to have double white lines to kind of reduce the width of it and hopefully encourage people to slow down. But I know Councillor Gardner's not here. She was the chair, but I think I captured all of that. I think there's more work to be done. I'm sure the residents would want us to move forward with something concrete right now, but I believe even if we did move forward, it wouldn't be done for a while anyway. But Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you've had discussions with those residents in terms of their desire to have something concrete right now. Happy to explore that. From everything that I've seen, the best approach is to see whether or not that 1 speed hump on Limeridge is useful, to have them interact with YRP and have a protocol in place if there are people speeding on that street. And in terms of Gateway, to have that survey completed on the north leg and then make a decision. In terms of, there was some shrubs that were impeding sight lines, which we've communicated with staff. I think some work has already been done, and I understand Bylaw has communicated with those 2 residents, and one was home, one wasn't. One agreed to removing that shrubbery so that the sight lines are much better, and we're waiting to hear back from the other one that's on Limeridge. So short of that, unless there's any other suggestions, I think that's the right approach, but I'm open to any other suggestions.
Councillor, are there any other comments or questions? I think the residents will be fine as long as it's coming back and knowing that we'll make a final decision once we deal with the warrant as far as the petition on the other leg of that, of Gateway. So as long as we're going to still be dealing with Limeridge and Gateway at that time when it comes back, I think everyone will be fine with that. And we can make a decision at that time, Council. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Um, 14.2, Councillor Gardner pulled that one. Someone want to just move the recommendation? Councillor Gilliland, seconder. Councillor Kim, is there any questions on this? Call a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Move to 15.1. Councillor Gardner pulled this, but I'll go to Councillor Weese. Did you want to move your motion? Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Gallo. Go ahead, Councillor Weese.
Yes, thank you. This motion was prepared to ask staff to prepare a report for the relief of stormwater charges for the tenants at St. Andrews Shopping Center, St. Andrews Village. The tenants have complained through property management over a month ago here in Chambers, asking for this relief, suggesting that the stormwater charges were unfair because these small tenants with relatively small water use are being charged the same delivery charges as the larger commercial users. And this was confirmed with staff when I had a conversation with them afterwards. This was then discussed with our financial department, who provided relevant information about policy changes that are anticipated in the future related to this kind of a motion. St. Andrews Village is a unique shopping center and it's a valued business center in town. And tenants have expressed their concern over their viability. We ought to think about them. In Aurora, we value the shopping center and the economic viability of all their tenants and supporting their businesses. So I believe this is an example of where our ability to make the site-specific policy changes can be made. And I ask for support for this motion from my council colleagues.
Councillor Kelly?
Thank you. Thanks for the motion, Councillor Weese. I think that this is something that is very important to look at. Through Mr. Mayor to Ms. Van Kessel. Is this something that we've been trying to work through currently?
Ms. Van Kessel?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So a few years ago, I think it might be as far back as 2019, there was a presentation on stormwater management and the stormwater system. It was an engineering presentation by the engineering manager at the time, Ms. Mahale. It did discuss options for looking at the stormwater rates. Since then, finance has taken over that project because it's more of a billing issue at this point in time. So we've taken that over, and it is on our work plan to start looking at stormwater rates. We have been looking at water rates. We want to take a look at stormwater rates. It's not necessarily a delivery charge, but it's a per property charge that is applied to the bill for stormwater services. And there's a commercial rate and there's a residential rate. And the commercial rate doesn't factor in how large the property is. It only factors in how many meters are essentially on that property, how many accounts there are. So we do want to look at this to make some, come back with a proposal for something that is more equitable. So I do welcome the opportunity to report back on the planning and timelines associated with going forward with that.
Councillor?
Thank you. And I do recall when you first started here as well, you had some conversations about how we were going to change things over, not just for commercial, but also residential as well, to make it more weighted and more balanced. So I'm happy to see this motion come forward to maybe put it back on the top of the work plan. With what Councillor Weese has put forward today, do you foresee that we could expedite this in a way that we might see it in a timely manner to help see some relief to the certain commercial buildings that are come forward with their delegation? Do you think it's going to be something that we can address in the short term, or is this still long term?
Through Mr. Mayor, so it depends on your definition of what short term and long term is. Is it something that we're probably going to be able to complete this year? Not likely, but it is definitely something we can get started on. So possibly looking at getting a council review and approval early in the next term.
Councillor?
Thank you. And just this as a comment, I hope that we could see some sort of work plan. I know this is something we have talked about, and if we have had that presentation, I remember when Anka came forward with that back in 2019, it's 2026. I appreciate, we've got a lot on our plate. We're trying to do a lot in our town, and this is a really big project. So again, I'm happy to see this being top of the box, but I'd like to see at least some sort of a work plan moving forward. And obviously, whether it's part of our budget, if there's anything that we could see how that might affect anything. I can't see it would be too much, but I just think that would be really important, at least for the next term, we would have some sort of idea of what to expect.
Any other comments, questions? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. New business. Councillor Campbell. Councillor Gallo. Councillor Gillan. PSAs. Councillor Gillan. Councillor Gallo. PSA. Councillor Scott. Yep, so.
The holy month of Ramadan begins in middle of February. The exact date depends on the sighting of the moon. It is a time of joy, plus includes donating food for those in need. To all our Muslim residents, Ramadan Mubarak.
PSA. Go
ahead. Thank Aurora Black community and Fiona Grant for hosting a wonderful gala over the weekend. We had a lot of wonderful guests there to promote it. So just want to thank that organization, and as well want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year. On Sunday, there was the 108 Health Promotion Organization had a celebration in Newmarket Theatre, and so just want to wish everyone who celebrates Lunar New Year a happy Lunar New Year.
Councillor Weese, did you have something to add?
Yes, I forgot something. Thank you. Just let people know that Sport Aurora and Parasport Ontario, along with Community Living Central York, conducted a Parasport Try-It program about a week and a half ago on Monday, and we're having another one because it was successful. There were over 25 people who are disabled coming out to do a Try-It session with 3 different sports. We're now getting information from the YRPA and others that they want to learn more about this and to try to include this adapted physical activity into Aurora and York region. So I want to thank Community Living, the Parasport Ontario people, as well as those folks in Sport Aurora and the town, because the town was instrumental in trying to provide the appropriate space. So through you to Ms. McDougall and then down to Mr. Farman, I want to thank him for the work that he's done. We had it stopped because of the big snowstorm, and it was moved very quickly to another day. So I want to thank them for all of their confidence in this and for what they've done for February 23rd. So you're all invited, 23rd at the SARC at 12:30.
Thank you. I'll just got a couple here. On February 18th, I'll be delivering my annual address at the Mayor's State of the Town, hosted by the Aurora Chamber of Commerce at the Royal Venetian Mansion. To see many people there as I discuss our town's economic outlook and exciting plans for 2026 and beyond. Dive into a year of learning and growth. Our Town of Aurora 2026 Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Calendar is more than just dates. It's a tool for education and understanding. Each month, explore the diverse cultures, histories, and experiences of our community. You can download it now at aurora.ca/DEI. And as we continue to celebrate Black History Month in partnership with the Aurora Black Community Association, we have a variety of exciting events designed to inspire, educate, and celebrate the vibrant Black community in Aurora. Don't miss out. Join us and be part of these impactful experiences all month long. And there's more details available at aurora.ca/Black History Month. Aurora's Arctic Adventure is coming up this Family Day long weekend. You can join us on Saturday, February 14th at Aurora Town Square and Monday, February 16th at Town Park for some wintry fun. Enjoy art workshops, wildlife shows, mini tubing, inflatables, and so much more, including the Great Canadian Lumberjack Show, which is always an exciting time for the families. For the full schedule, visit aurora.ca/Arctic Adventure. On February 16th, we are also celebrating Heritage Week. You can join us at Aurora Town Square for a full day of free activities from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Explore the stories, people, and places that have helped shape the community through guest presentations, hands-on workshops, and drop-in activities that bring Aurora's rich cultural history to life. More details are available at aurora.ca/Heritage Week. And the 2026 Summer Camps Program Guide is now out. Registration for summer camps opens February 17th for residents, offering first access to a wide range of programs. Non-residents registration begins February 23rd. And unfortunately, there is some tragic news out of BC. 10 kids have been shot and killed at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School in Tumbler Ridge. So on behalf of our community, extend heartfelt condolences to the families who've lost loved ones and to everyone impacted by this devastating act. And we're grateful for the first responders and Royal Canadian Mounted Police for their swift response. And our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Tumbler Ridge community during this incredible, difficult time. Kind of tough to do that after that, but I'll do it. Okay. I also do have to mention the resident committee members that have been appointed to the Cannabis Retail Review Task Force. Nikki Albert, Megan Bamford, Judy Collins, Leonard Lynn, Lori Sheffer, and Ian Smith. Congratulations, and we're looking forward to working with you, and as well as our council appointees, Councillor Gallo and Councillor Weese. And I think the first meeting is in February sometime. I'll get next week. There we go, next week. Okay. Councillor Gilliland, did you have something? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, if you don't mind, sorry, I just totally forgot and I was having a challenge looking it up. It was just, I wanted to let people know that the John Abel Community Gardens is open for applications for the garden plot, and you need applications by March 6th. And I know with all the food insecurity that's happening these days, this is a perfect opportunity to get yourself and your family involved where you can grow your own vegetables and your food at this new park. So again, it's online, you can apply for it, and it's apply by March 6th. And then I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you did you talk about the Blues Festival? Did you mention that? Okay, so just quickly, again, the Blues Festival is this March 26th to March 1st. Again, we are the only winter blues festival in all of Ontario. Please support this amazing event that is going to be taking place at Slabtown Armory, as well as the Cultural Center and the Winter Blues Festival partnership. That's it. Thanks.
Motion to adjourn. Councillor Weese, Councillor Kim, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.